Thriller, mystery, and horror books coming out in August. If you don't know me, I'm Carrie, and I read a book a day to give you the best thriller, mystery, and horror book recommendations, so if you're into that, make sure to give me a follow. Starting with August 4th, there are 12 releases. One of the Family by Mark Edwards is a psychological thriller following a man who joins his girlfriend's family vacation just to be entangled in a sinister plot. All We Hide by Robin Giggle is a police procedural thriller following a trans detective who is investigating a cold case murder of a high school classmate. You'll Be Sorry by Lisa Gardner is a thriller following a newlywed couple that moves into a house that is shrouded in mystery. 30 years ago, the family that once lived there vanished without a trace. Meat Bees by Dane Arbach is a campy horror coming-of-age story following a girl who is spending the summer in her father's cabin in the Smoky Mountains and soon becomes entangled with flesh-eating bees. The Unknown by Riley Sager is a horror thriller following an actress who gets a role in a movie depicting a real-life crime, the disappearance of 5 women from a remote island commune in 1926, and soon finds that history is repeating itself. Tradwife by Michelle Brandon is a thriller following a community of tradwives whose lives are upended when one of the husbands goes missing. Freya by Margaret Ann Thors is a psychological Icelandic mystery following a woman who is forced to confront her past and her role in her childhood best friend's disappearance. Murder at the End of the World by Akane Araki is a Japanese apocalyptic murder mystery that follows a woman who spends the final days of humanity hunting down a serial killer. Clean Slate by Brianna Lebeskis is the first book in a new thriller series. It will be available on Kindle Unlimited, and it follows a crime scene cleaner who discovers a pattern in her crime scene cleanups. The Women in White by Sarah Pekkanen is a dual timeline thriller about a 1960s experiment and a caretaker looking into the disappearance of women with special abilities. The Secret Dinner by Rafael Montes is a dark satirical thriller about a group of Brazilian friends who throw elite dinner parties in order to make money that quickly spirals into murderous chaos. Small Town Slasher by Stephanie Rose is a horror slasher that follows a disabled horror fan that stays at a themed cabin in Montana where a new series of murders mirrors a 25-year-old massacre. On August 11th, we have 8 releases. Reliquary by Hannah Witten is a gothic horror following a woman who is lured to her late fiance's estranged family estate where she uncovers dark family secrets. The Butcher Legacy by Elena Urquhart is the 3rd book in the Dr. Ren Muller series. It's a thriller following the investigation into the disappearance of a string of young girls that are connected to an imprisoned serial killer. Stay Buried by Jennifer McMahon is a folk dual timeline horror following a 1900s mysterious illness and a 2016 inheritance of a home where dark secrets lay dormant. Them by W.H. Chismar is a sci-fi horror book about a government experiment that goes horribly wrong and unleashes otherworldly horrors that threatens the end of humanity. The Secrets We Hide by Karen Slaughter is a thriller, and it's the 2nd book in the North Falls series. It follows the investigation into a murder and the small town conspiracies the locals believe. The Hill in the Dark Grove by Liam Higginson is a Welsh folk horror book that follows sheep farmers who discover ancient ruins buried on their property, leading to the awakening of sinister supernatural forces. Dreamland by Olivia Blake is a gothic Hollywood set mystery following an actress who makes a deal with a powerful family that has sinister and occult implications. A Plague Sea by Kim Bo-young is a horror novella following a bodyguard living in a quarantined Korean coastal village that has been taken over by an earthquake-unleashed plague that turns people into fish-like monsters. On August 13th, we have a Kindle Unlimited release. My Twin Sister by Alicia Dykema is a psychological thriller that follows a woman whose twin sister has gone missing many years ago, and then one day, she comes back home. On August 18th, we have 12 releases. Lights, Camera, Friendo by Adam Cesar is a YA horror book and the 4th book in the Clown in the Cornfield series. It follows an actress who lands a role in a movie depicting the real-life massacre that took place in Kettle Springs, and real-life horrors begin to brew on set. Marla by Jonathan Jantz is a small-town gothic horror that follows the investigation into a string of murders and the suspicions surrounding a reclusive woman named Marla. Tapeworm by A.P. Thayer is a vampiric horror book that follows a group of friends who go to the California desert for vacation where something strange and parasitic awaits them. These Walls Remember by Del Sandine is a Southern Gothic historical horror following estranged sisters who inherit the house of a distant relative and soon uncover the dark secrets that it harbors. My Sister Is Going to Kill Me by Nina Simon is a thriller following 2 sisters who find themselves in the center of a murder investigation when they realize a fellow traveler has been murdered while on their Grand Canyon rafting trip. Promise Me Never by Liv Constantine follows a woman who discovers that her perfect husband may not be so perfect after all and starts to uncover the dark secrets about his previous first wife's demise. The Sleeping Sisters by Jennifer Given is a literary horror book following a mother and a detective whose worlds collide as murders that are linked to a serial killer resurface near the Sleeping Sisters volcanoes in New Mexico. Don't Look Close by Haima Fixon is a historical crime thriller following a man who sets out to clear his sister's name for the murder of her husband only to uncover the dark secrets of a small mining town. Calamities by Chuck Wendig is a fantasy horror book following the heir to the world's most influential family as he reckons with the demonic secret of his family's power. And The Sea Gave Up the Dead by William Friend is a gothic horror following a woman who goes to visit her aunt in a haunted French chateau where her uncle mysteriously died years before, and soon uncovers dark family secrets and ancient evils. The Minimalist by Kaylee Peterson is a psychological horror about a classical composer who descends into madness while trying to finish her late mentor's unsettling composition. On August 20th, we have a UK release. I'm not sure if this book is coming out in the US, but you can get it from Blackwell's with free shipping to the US. Best of Enemies by Julie May Cohen is a darkly comedic thriller about a woman whose enemies meet their untimely demise. She claims she didn't do it, and in order to clear her own name, she has to dive headfirst into finding a serial killer. On August 25th, we have 15 releases. Heart of Glass by Jennifer Hillier is a psychological thriller, and it's set in the same world as Wonderland. It follows two women who are forced to confront their past when their friend's killer recants his confession. Not a Word by Linwood Barclay is a psychological investigative style thriller following a man who uncovers dark family secrets after his father and a mysterious woman are found dead in his parents' bed. The Devil Knows Her Name by C.N. Ver is a folk horror book following a witch who made a deal with the devil 100 years ago to save her own life, who now must stop him from collecting his due. They Say a Girl Died Here by Sarah Pinbrough is a southern small-town psychological horror thriller following a girl who is taking care of her aging grandmother and becomes obsessed with a supposedly solved case of the unaliving of two girls who died exactly 3 years apart, and soon begins to suspect that her grandmother's supposed delusions are the key to solving the case. Bad Intentions by Ileana Zander will be available on Kindle Unlimited. This is a psychological thriller following a woman who is caring for her aging grandmother and has always wanted the answers to secrets that have happened in her family from years ago that her grandma refuses to tell her. As she dives into her investigation, she soon realizes that history is repeating itself. Natural Selection by Claire Edge is a YA supernatural horror book about 3 girls who develop an unsettling bond when a bear starts picking off known abusers. The Sunken, the Adored by Danya Coles is a historical fiction Lovecraftian queer horror that follows a recently freed Black woman as she navigates her new life while being stalked by a supernatural force. Wicked Wanted Widows by Vanessa Lilly, Kat Hallahan, and Kimberly Bell is the 3rd book in the Widows thriller series. It follows 4 friends as they battle armed robbers and navigate bootlegger tunnels in search of their kidnapped friend while uncovering an art heist. You Know Why by J.T. Ellison is a thriller that will be available on Kindle Unlimited. It follows a woman as she investigates her husband's mysterious disappearance from the airport and soon uncovers dark secrets pertaining to his first wife's demise. Blood Rising by Marcus Redmond is a sequel to Blood Slaves. It's a historical fiction vampiric horror book about a group of previously enslaved vampires fighting for their freedom in the antebellum South while also fighting rival vampires. Never a Whistle at Night 2, Back for Blood is a dark fiction anthology by various Indigenous authors that is the follow-up to Never Whistle at Night. The Woods by Jessica Hamilton is a horror thriller about a grieving mother whose world is turned upside down when she moves her family to a secluded house nearby ancient woods after her teenage daughter's tragic passing. Find Me by Holly Craig is a thriller following 2 estranged sisters who find themselves navigating the eerie Tasmanian wilderness to fulfill their mother's dying wish to find their brother who is supposedly living in a commune deep in the woods. Big Little Truths by Lane Morrity is a sequel to Big Little Lies. It follows the original cast of characters 10 years later as they navigate being parents of teenagers. This will, of course, will have a new set of dramas, but one of the focal points is a mysterious package that is delivered to the principal of their children's high school. The Burn Line by Jonathan Sims is a horror thriller set in the London Underground during a heat wave where 5 strangers witness a horrific event and now must band together to fight an ancient evil that lurks in the tunnels. And lastly, on August 27th, we have 2 Kindle Unlimited releases. Hidden in Plain Sight by Michelle Dunn is a thriller following a former soldier whose life is upended when a brutalized Syrian refugee collapses into her life. Being no stranger to war, she knows that she has to do whatever is necessary to keep them both safe. The Silent Sister by Angela Henry is a psychological thriller following a woman who has lost her husband and her memory after a tragic accident. When a woman comes forward to care for her, claiming to be her late husband's sister that he never mentioned having. Thank you so much for watching. Please drop me a comment and let me know which of these August titles you're most looking forward to reading. And if you got early access to any of these titles, please let me know your thoughts in the comments.